our praise band. So if it's your first time here, pick one up on that table. Otherwise, it's $5. Anyway, next Sunday is Easter Sunday, so it's the time to tell all your friends who never show up to church to come out for that one time in a year. And make sure you come too. And also, Kids Day is May 7th, so if you want to help, tell Esther. She otherwise known as Kevin's wife. And also, if you want to help out with summer retreat, tell Rich. And there's one more thing. Oh, yeah. If you use the NPR or the fridge gets cleaned out every Sunday morning and everything gets thrown out. So especially dancers, make sure to take all your stinky clothes and take it home with you. Thank you.
Yeah, clothes, shirts, food, everything that's in there, it's gone. Today we'd like to recognize another person who apparently wants to become a member of this church, which is pretty cool. Let's embarrass and welcome up Hannah Puckett. Hannah, where are you at? All right. Welcome. You're never allowed to leave. Congratulations. And in case you were wondering, it seems a little less full here. We added 20 chairs, in case you were wondering, like, where'd all the people go? Not all the same people are here. There's just 25% more chairs than we had last week. And for the first time ever, the air conditioner is actually on in this room. And so it's nice, comfy, not too hot and steamy and locker room-like. And so welcome to a little bit more elbow room, and a little bit cooler. And so nice. So thank you, AC gods, for that. Not really. We don't believe in multiple gods. We're not Greek. When I was in college, college, you're not really smart. You get really dumb in college. You're smarter in high school, and then I think you get dumber for a while in college. I certainly did. And you do dumb things, you don't think things through really well. I was living with some friends in an apartment, and for some reason I realized, I don't know. No reason, I have no idea. But I was really craving cereal, and I had bought milk and cereal some time before. But the time period in which I had bought it was vague in my mind. And so I woke up anyway. I was looking for some cereal and got the milk and the cereal, put it in. And I'm not a morning person, so my eyes like half open, like, and then so I start eating it, and I was like, man, like the cereal has gone bad. Like it tastes like burned or something. Maybe they messed up in the box cereal. Yeah, it's just something's really wrong with the cereal. I keep eating. Girls don't understand they would stop eating, but guys don't stop eating. They just keep eating. Man, it's burnt or something. And finally I get to the end, I was like, oh, man, that just was really bad cereal. Then I thought, well, I wonder what's wrong. Well, cereal seems okay. Put it away. Maybe it's the milk. Maybe it's the milk. But I thought it was burnt smell, so I thought it was cereal because milk doesn't burn, Then, oh, my God, it's the milk. And so then I go to pour out the milk, and then the milk would, like, barely pour out, like, and it was like, and it didn't drain, it just sat in the sink. Like, oh, wow, weird, thick milk. Guess why it tasted bad? The milk was bad, turns out. We've been talking about fruit of the Spirit, and fruit is supposed to be pure and good, not rotten and useless. So that milk, it was supposed to be good, but it was rotten and horrible. And though we've been talking about having fruit, you have to have fruit that's healthy and and good. Like we were talking about love, peace, and joy. You can't just have like a little rotten piece of it. You have to have full, enjoyable fruit. We're going to finish up our list, so I'd like you to keep in mind that we must be bearing ripe, yummy fruit, as opposed to just some stingy little sour fruit or something that's rotten. We're finishing up with the last 3 of these 9, so we broke them down 3, 3, and 3. The last 3 of the 9 fruit of the Spirit go like this: faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I think these are probably the hardest to develop. Now, the first one, faithfulness, is talking about trustworthiness. If you have faithfulness, that means you're a person that other people can rely on. So that's probably the concept to get in our mind. A person on whom others can rely, and even that other person can be the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That other being can be God, can rely on you. This is one of the main characteristics of God. When they talk about God, God is faithful. He exhibits faithfulness to his people and faithfulness to his children. And over and over, Jesus is faithfulness to the will of the Father and all this kind of stuff. And so it comes from being an attribute or character of God. And the question we have to sort of ask ourselves for this one is, am I someone who can be relied upon by God and by other people? So am I faithful to God? The answer needs to be yes if you want to bear this fruit. What does that mean, though? That means, can God rely on you to keep his commands? So he says, I want you to do something. I'm going to give this trust to you. Now, if I am faithful, then I will follow through. I'm reliable. I'm trustworthy with the command that he's given me, and I'm going to follow through and do it. Am I faithful, and am I reliable to be the person that God wants me to be? God asked me to love people rightly. Am I faithful in the thing that he's asked? Am I loving people rightly as a Christian? Am I reliable to even be willing to die for Jesus? Jesus says you have to go the full way for me. You can't just half-ass it. He says, I want all of you. You've got to push your chips in and be all in, willing to go to the death. He says you have to take up your cross and follow me. And he's talking about be willing to be executed. And so am I willing to do that? Am I willing to die for Jesus? The early Christians, they were clearly willing to do this. I'm going to read to you an account of a non-Christian. This is a Roman. The Romans conquered the Jews, and Christians were considered as Jews. All the early Christians were Jews, and the Romans didn't like them either. And the Romans didn't like this particular brand of Judaism, this sect that they thought it was, called Christianity. And one Roman guy was writing about it, who's a Roman official. His name is Pliny. He was writing in 110 AD, so about 70 or 80 years after Jesus. And here's his account of what he does with Christians. He says, I have asked them if they're Christians, and if they admit it, I repeat the question a second and a third time, with a warning of the punishment that awaits them. If they persist in saying that they're Christians, I order them to be led away for execution. For whatever the nature of their admission, I don't care what they believe, I am convinced that their stubbornness and their unshakable obstinacy ought not to go unpunished. He says, I talk to these Christians, I ask them if they're Christian, and they say yes. And I say, look, if you say yes 2 more times, I'm going to kill you. And then I ask them a second time, and they say yes. And then I ask them a third time if they're Christians, and they say yes. So I tell them to execute that guy, because how dare he stand up to me? That's Pliny's account of dealing with Christians. But you see, how dare they not do anything other than that? When God calls them to be faithful witness, and he says, okay, I'm going to rely on you to tell people that you're Christians, even if it's difficult. And they say, okay, God, I want to bear this fruit of faithfulness, so I'm going to do it. Pliny asked me if I'm a Christian. Am I going to be faithful to God or not? Yes, I am. And he threatens me to kill me. Yes, I am. And he says, one last chance. And I say, yes, I am. And he actually follows through and kills them. Lots of them. Not just 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. Thousands upon thousands of Christians were killed. Not for any crime. Simply for saying that they were a Christian. You could get out it by saying, nope, not a Christian. But they said, I am faithful to even go to the end for Jesus. Fruit of the Spirit, faithfulness. Do I act like a Christian, or am I just claiming to be one? Am I reliable that I say I'm a Christian, and then I act like it? So that's in faithfulness toward God. Am I faithful towards my family? Am I someone who can be relied upon in my family? Can they rely on me to do what I say? Can my wife rely on me that I am not going to be looking at other girls and sneaking around and that kind of stuff? Am I faithful? Can I be relied upon? Am I really going to work when I say I'm going to go to work? And do I bring home the money and pay for the stuff, or do I gamble it away? Oh, I'm faithful to take care of my family. Am I faithful to love rightly my family? Do I faithfully take care of the kids as God has asked me to? Am I faithful to Christianity or to this church? Can other members of this church rely upon me when I say I'm going to do something? Can they rely on me to love them rightly? Can they rely on me to be there when they need me? Am I reliable to use my talents to bless other people, or am I just holding them back? See, all of those fall in the category of faithfulness. And this last one doesn't. Am I faithful to my gangs or my party culture? No. The answer to that should be no. Faithfulness is not a partner with sin. So you can't be faithful to kill everyone because you said you would. Faithfulness, and the second to last one, gentleness. Gentleness is meekness, but we never use that word meekness. So gentleness is sort of like humility, but the best way that I think to think of it is power under control. Gentleness has to do with the idea that I can smash someone, but I don't. My daughter Kayla is absolutely not gentle. She takes the dog, Tanner, we have a little chihuahua, and she grabs Tanner's neck, and she loves him and squeezes him. Have you ever seen that cartoon with that big guy, and he squeezes and hugs and kills it, you know? That's sort of, Kayla grabs his neck, and she rubs her fingers in his eyes. She's like, Tanner, 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 you know? Very disturbing. She is not gentle. She has power over the dog, and she exercises it. She smashes the poor dog. Kayla is not gentle with the dog. Ask yourself, well, next time I'm arguing with my girlfriend or my wife or my husband or my boyfriend, and I could say something to really hurt him. I could really jack him up right now. But do I? See, gentleness says, I have the power to hurt that person, but I don't do it. I could say something mean to my wife. I could blast her and make her cry. But if I'm following this fruit, I don't. I do have that power because she loves me, we're connected, and I could really hurt her if I wanted, but I don't. That's gentleness. My favorite example, and some of you might have heard this, is long ago, one of my friends, his name is Jimmy Kim. And Jimmy Kim, he's an Olympic gold medalist. Believe it or not, no, Olympic gold medalist. He got a gold medal in Taekwondo, heavyweight. So he's about 6'4", when he was in shape, 250 or so. And now he's 300, you know, like less muscle. And he competed in the Seoul Olympics for U.S. in Taekwondo. So he went back to Korea, fought against the Koreans in their own sport, and he actually won the gold medal. Jimmy's a huge, strong, big guy. He was able to kick the basketball rim when many of you guys just desire to touch it someday. But not only did he could kick it with his foot. And so that's how pretty crazy he was. I remember one time he was teaching Taekwondo, and he was teaching maybe like 4 or 5-year-olds.